Historic alliance between the Irish and the Mexicans. If any of you want to Google the San Patricio Brigade, it speaks to a relationship that existed when the Irish began to come to the United States during the potato famine, and they were inscribed into an army that was led by English officers, and the Irish were like the Mexicans nowadays. They were despised and downtrodden, and they sent them to fight against the Mexicans in the Mexican-American War. And Irish, being Catholics, they wanted to go to church on Sundays, so they started going to Mass on Sundays along with the Mexicans. And lo and behold, they realized that there was a lot of similarities between the Irish and the Mexican. You know, we went to church, we were family folks, and they began to realize that the relationship that Ireland had with England was very similar to the relationship that Mexico had with the United States. So they turned their weapons and they fought on the side of the Mexican. And in Mexico City, where I'm from, we have monuments commemorating the San Patricio Brigade because of that historic alignment. And this is just a modern day expression of it. Anyway, a little bit of history there. So having said that, we're going to move forward to our next award. But I just want to, again, echo what Vice President Patrick mentioned about Walmart. It's unfortunate that NAFTA was really the enabler for Walmart. Right after NAFTA, Walmart set its first outpost in Mexico, and from there it began to suck the jobs from the United States to Mexico, and then it went to, as we know, to other parts of the world. So there's a long relationship between NAFTA, Walmart, and the oppression of workers in Mexico, because the only reason why U.S. corporations went to Mexico is because of the oppressed labor. And the oppressed labor was facilitated by dictators. And those dictators, unfortunately, were supported by U.S. foreign policy back in the day, so there's a whole relationship. But let's go back to today. Today we're here to recognize a couple of people who break the stereotype of immigrants being a weight on the society, on being a burden on society. More and more, the Latino community, because of that historic repression in Latin America, more and more Latinos are fleeing that oppression and poverty and coming to the United States. Just like African Americans back in the day, they had three options during slavery. You either live under slavery, you complain and you die, or you run. And people that were able to flee, they fled. And in Latin America, it's the same thing. So we come here and we're chastised as being the villains, the paupers, the people taking jobs. But more and more immigrants, just through hard work, are proving that stereotype wrong. So today we're privileged to honor not only, along with our Irish American friends and the Patricio Brigades, and with our Mexican American sponsors, and I like to say elders. And in this case, we brought people from LA, like Mr. Icaza and Sergio Rascon, because whether we like it or not, LA is like our big brother. I love San Francisco. I think it's a beautiful city, but LA is really the strong card for California. And in LA, there are some interesting politics. We have a new mayor, Eric Garcetti, who quite frankly was not endorsed by the Central Labor Council or a lot of unions, but Mr. Icaza had the courage to endorse him, and so did Sergio Rascon. Keep an eye on Eric Garcetti. He might be a governor, he might be a president, and I think we would be blessed to have somebody like him at the helm of our governance someday in the future. So with that in mind, Sergio and Mr. Icaza had a lot to do with Eric getting elected, and so we want to recognize tonight somebody that came from Mexico as an immigrant, who started digging holes and doing the hard breaking work of a laborer, which President O'Sullivan, Rocco, and Mr. O'Sullivan's father have all done. It's not an easy task, but under a union contract, it pays enough to raise a family, and it also provides the opportunity for dignity and to speak your mind. Sergio has been an individual who has worked hard. He has followed the leadership. He has delivered, he has been loyal, respectful, and he has shown that he can contribute to the welfare, not only his members, but society as a whole. And he's had the courage, and fortunately has bet on the right horse in Eric Garcetti. So with that in mind, today we recognize our brother, Sergio Rascon, and we thank you for coming all the way from Southern California to join us, Sergio.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Jaime, thank you so much. And obviously, I've known Jaime for many years, and I tell you, he's a great leader. He's someone that it is a treasure for many of us to, be able to understand that people like him can make a big difference and makes a big difference. I'd like to, recognize a lot of my brothers and sisters that are here from, Northern California, the business managers of the laborers, La Una, all the locals. If I start mentioning names, I will never finish because I know many of you are here, and I thank you for being here. Also, that's right. I mean, I'm thrilled and honored that, it was a surprise to me to see my boss, General President of our International Union, Mr. Terry O'Sullivan here. To me, this is a man that has done so much and continues to do so for this labor organization. And you would never think that somebody like him be the type of man that he is, because he's so humble and yet so powerful when it comes to the good things about the labor movement. And for that, I am very proud and privileged to be part of the team that he runs in Washington, D.C. and across the nation. Thank you for being here. And of course, our regional manager, the Pacific Southwest regional manager, also assistant to our general president and vice president to our international, Rocco Davis. Thank you for being here. And congratulations to the recipients of tonight, whom I share with you. Great labor leaders, and my good friend Ricky Casa, that, every time we see each other, we remind ourselves about good mariachis over in Mexico when we went with the governor out there. So he thinks to know or say that I know all the songs that the mariachi plays. If he only knew, I can't even sing one song, but I know the names. But anyway, it is a pleasure to be here tonight, and of course, for a good cause. And the award should go to Instituto Laboral de la Raza. That it should go to them, because what you do, this is all what you do on an everyday basis, People like me, treasure on that. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story, as Jaime has asked me, as to being an immigrant myself. And I thank God for this great country that gives us the opportunities, that gives us the ability to move forward. Great people like my general president that gives us the opportunity to do what we do best for our people. When I came here into the United States, I was very fortunate. Now, we fight for immigration reform every day. And I tell people, I speak on that, and thank God that I've been given the task that, I'm part of the drivers when it comes to that reform. But I tell people, I said, I wish we can go back to when I came here. Now, my dad was a laborer at that time, a member of Labor's Local 300, when at that time the employer was able to sponsor if they wanted to bring their family. My dad was already a green card holder. And I tell people when I speak, it took us 22 days from the time the paperwork started to the actual handing over of the green card. 22 days when we came in. Now today, everybody knows that it takes, 2-3 years before somebody acknowledges that they received the application, and then from that point, and then it takes a lot more time. But only in America, and this is a great country. I mean, most of my life had actually been here. Obviously, I do not forget my roots, I'll be a traitor if I do that. But I believe that this country, it's only one of the greatest, if not the greatest #1 country in the world, because it gives all of us the opportunity to grow. And I mentioned people that gives us the opportunity. So today, I'm very blessed and honored by being here, not on behalf of myself, but on behalf of the true people, of the true workers, the ones that suffer, the ones that go through everything so that we can do what we need to do. The ones that are the real boss, as I always say. I am not anywhere near a boss when it comes to serving the people that are out there in the field, the people that really make it happen for all of us. I say that. Our General President say that. We always take that treasure on the working people. That's why Instituto de la Raza, or Laboral de la Raza, is so important, that they take care of the unorganized, the people that are exploited, the people that do not have somebody to take care of them as a collective bargaining agreement as we do. But I'm so happy that we got organizations that stand up for people like that. And I look forward to working with Instituto de la Raza, porque no nos debemos de olvidar de dónde venimos y quiénes somos, porque el día que nos olvidemos, ese día se nos termina todo. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sergio, again, for coming all the way from LA. Now, I just want to mention something, that Sergio represents a critical mass. As we know, the demographics are shifting, where at one point the critical mass of an industry and an electorate were either Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants, African-American workers. Now, because of historic reasons, more and more Latino immigrants are comprising a critical mass in certain core industries and electorate, which means that that population is going to either be an asset or a liability to the standards that the Irish, the African Americans, the other immigrants built and died for. And it's incumbent upon us to make sure that that critical mass becomes an asset to workers, because God knows, and we all know, that corporations are actively seducing and drafting and electing Latino politicians to serve their agenda, and they get elected under the guise of Latino solidarity. So more and more people like Sergio and our next honoree are going to be instrumental in making sure that we evaluate Latino politicians not for their color, but for their intent and their politics, which is going to be the defining gauge that we judge politicians on.